All right, coming in at number 26 on our 2024 Locked On Senators Draft Rankings, we're going over to Russia for Nikita Artamonov, an intelligent playmaker who happened to be outshined by another draft-eligible Anton Silyev, but himself, Artamonov Pilsy, is a very cerebral player.
Yeah, Ross, right away, you got to look at how impressive it is for him to have played 54 KHL games last season. I mean, you don't get a lot of prospects that are able to play in a pro league that long, let alone the KHL. So, right off the bat, that stands out to me.
It certainly does. So, too, does the fact that in his first 11 games in the KHL, he had 8 points. So, he came out swinging at the start of the season. Elite Prospects talked about just how well his playmaking was, his passing. He seems to know where his teammates are. And I found it interesting that Elite Prospects was higher on him than almost anybody else in our rankings. Elite Prospects has him at 25, Chris Peters at 21, Corey Prodman down at 30, Bob McKenzie 34, McKean's at 41. Not even ranked with Craig Button. I think this is the last guy to not be ranked by anyone on our list. He comes in with an average of 31.8. Nikita Artamonov is 5'11", 187 pounds, a November birthday. So one of the older players in this draft. Classic Russian, shoots left, plays right wing on his offside. Pilsy, he has a great year against men in the KHL, 23 points, -6, but then he went back down to play against his own age group in the playoffs, picked up right where he left off, 6 goals, 10 points in 11 games. If he was 6'3", same skill set, we'd be talking about a lottery pick, not a guy at the end of the second round, start of the second round, end of the first round. But this is kind of the range I would expect him, maybe even a little bit lower on my list.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ross. If this guy had a little bit more size to him, I think he'd be a lot higher on our list because he plays a tough game. He's got a high motor. He doesn't shy away from physicality. And being able to play that much in the KHL, that's a tough men's league. And he's not just one of those players that's getting a couple shifts, 5-6 minutes a night. From the game logs I was looking at on EP, he's averaging right around 15 minutes a night, where for a young forward to be doing that is very impressive. So you'll love to see that. It's very surprising to me, Ross, that EP is the highest on his guy, because a lot of their kind of negatives about him is they didn't love his skating mechanics, which usually is their kind of top valued attribute for prospects. So they must really see a lot of potential in Artamonov, despite his skating mechanics not being their favorite.
What Elite Prospects is saying about him too is the fact that he has a B game, right? If he's not going offensively one night, he's able to contribute in other ways, breaking up defensive schemes, penalty killing, doing all the little things that are going to catch as a coach and a scout's eye. So I think that he's one of those high floor. It's just a matter of what the ceiling is. He going to be a top 6 contributor? I'd say the odds are against him a little bit. Under 6 feet tall, but he could still become a very solid top 9 contributor. So I think he's also a kind of guy that could be in your lineup a little bit sooner. Obviously, the Russian factor aside, unsure about the contract situation for him, but he's a guy to me in like 3 years could be in a top 9 and maybe even coming over at the end of a season and helping a team push for the playoff spot and hopefully bring a little bit of that grit and sandpaper to a lineup over here in the NHL eventually.
Yeah, I definitely could see that. I think, a bottom 9 spot for him is definitely attainable, because when you're a guy that's able to be such a good playmaker like he is, and then you're able to play that physical game, he's a classic kind of modern day power forward where he's able to move the puck around, keep the tempo going, keep the pace of play going, while also being like, hey, if you want to slow things down and play kind of a meat and potatoes physical style game, he can do that as well. So I really think that this is going to be a guy that contending teams that are looking for a quicker pro development are going to go after. Ross, I know they're not a contending team, but I've got Washington Capitals written all over this guy. Like, I feel like he would really fit in there.
No, definitely. And the motor's going to fit in. Obviously, they got Ryan Leonard last year. But look, with Artamonov, what I also I'm just catching up on his offense. And you look at the numbers and the company that he's in, dude, points per game for an under 18 player in the KHL. The company that he's with, Matvey Michkov, Vladimir Tarasenko, and Artemi Panarin. The only players in the KHL's 15-year history to have a better points per game as a U18 player forward. So that in itself, pretty impressive that he's picking up the offense over there. I would love a team to draft him, knowing, like Washington, they've done it before, that they can get him over here sooner rather than later. Because you don't want to be waiting 4 or 5 years for this type of player. You're getting him to help your lineup, like Pilsy said, sooner rather than later. We know the Sens need help, but is Artamonov the guy? Pilsy, your Sens stars.
Well, Ross, I could see if the Capitals did draft him, Ovi's just got to get on the phone, and I think he could get something done. And the enticement of having him learn from Tom Wilson, I think, would go a long way as well, right? So that's definitely a fit there. Having said that, he's not exactly a top fit for me with the Ottawa Senators. I give him 3 stars here. I do see the potential. I do respect how well he's doing in the KHL at a young age, but I just this is not a guy I see fitting in the Sens prospect system here.
For me, at 39, it's a good spot for Artamonov. I've got him at 38 as I'm continuing to plug and play as we do our countdown where I have guys in my rankings. It's obviously subject to change, but I've got him right in that range where there's enough upside that I can justify the pick, but I do like a few other options there as well. So I'm going to be interested to see where Nikita Artamonov lands on draft night. He'll be one of those guys who, oh, he came out of nowhere. No, not really. This guy's been pretty solid over there in Russia. And he comes in at number 26 on our Locked On Senators NHL draft rankings.